first time from watching that, when you were talking about your name, because when I first heard you, I said, Dwight Icenhower, and then I remember you had told me, but it's spelled differently. And I remember, I think it was Ronnie Craig, who said, the president, or for our Spanish-speaking friends, El Presidente, right? When I said, wow, what a cool name. And I have to say, the guy matches the name. It's just cool, humble all the way. And I think you deserve a round of applause for the way you carry yourself in this business, Dwight. Thank you, Dan. As he said, he's from Ohio. I had the privilege of going to his hometown. He took me for pizza. Being from New York, we cut it in 8 slices. I didn't know they cut it in 32 slices.
In little squares.
It was very good. Granted, my wife did get violent diarrhea that night, and it was okay. The sauce affects her a little bit, and I'm gonna pay for that remark later. I know that. But tell us a little bit about growing up, because we saw you growing up in Ohio, your high school experience, and what it was like in the beginning when you first said, hey, maybe I can do this Elvis thing.
Well, you know, I mean, Ohio, southeast Ohio, where I'm originally from, is a small town called Pomeroy. So it's, you know, it's not a huge city, but you know, it's a small town America. And so everybody knows everybody, and there's actually several people here from my hometown that have been coming to see me since I was like 17 years old, right here at this front table. Darla, Murda, and Doris, right there. Let's hear it for them. And we got some more. I can't see, but I know we got some Ohio representation back here. I can't see who it is, but let's hear it for all the Ohio folks, because I'm an Ohio boy. But yeah, it was just one of those towns where everybody knows everybody, and you know, it's friendly people. You know, the band was football games on Friday night was the big thing. You know, and I was never really into sports. I was always into music, but I marched every show for the halftime show at the high school football games, and that's actually how I got to performing Elvis, was through marching band, as you saw in the movie.
Yeah, I can attest, ladies and gentlemen, the whole town basically shut down that night. And I knew what was going on, and there was a police officer there, so I played dumb, and I said, what's going on? And he goes, Dwight's here. The cop said, Dwight's here, and really, they closed the streets off, and there had to be about 1,200 people there to see you, and it was a fantastic celebration, and I was thrilled to be a part of it.
I'll never forget that what he's referring to is a Pomeroy, Ohio, decided to host an ultimate preliminary contest, which blew my mind. I'm like, how is this happening here? And all these Elvis guys came in to compete in my hometown in Ohio, so I was headlining that night. So we were, remember how hard it rained?
Yes.
You remember how it was doing earlier?
It was a downpour.
Like multiply that times like 43, and that's how hard it was raining. And there were people sitting there, just pouring rain, just sitting there waiting for me. I think you were there, Darla. You were covered in, she just had cut out a trash bag and had her head poked. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I mean, it was such a, it was so
was
cool.
special. And you know, Dwight likes to bring up, he always acknowledges the veterans and thanks them for their service. And I was in the audience, and Dwight was doing American Trilogy. And Dwight said, do we have any veterans? There's about 700 veterans there. And I think he invited them all on stage. And I said, oh my God, the stage is going to collapse. But it didn't. But that was great, because the patriotism was through the roof, and I know you made their nights, and that was great. That was awesome, and I love the fact that you always recognize that.
Yeah, I always try to do that. I'll tell you one of my, the place he's talking about in Pomeroy, we were doing this festival, and it was a contest, so they had, and Dan was in this is my favorite story. You got to tell him this. Listen to this. This is so funny.
There's actually 2 stories about Dwight invited me to this contest, and I competed, and I met a lot of wonderful people. And there was one gentleman, I think I told the story the other night. He looked like Santa Claus, and he was sitting watching. He was taking notes, and I'm standing there, and I have my Elvis hair and the makeup and everything. And he said, "Hey, New York, come over here." So I walked over here. He said, "You know, I had you winning this contest until that boy from Columbus showed up, who was Ryan Pelton." And he goes, "Look at this." And he had a piece of paper, and he had my name written down, and then he crossed it out. almost like ripped a hole in it and wrote Ryan Pelton over it. And I was like, well, thank you, Santa. That was good. And
But he did it in front of you, didn't he? Like he
yes,
took the pen and
he
like
took
crossed
the pen
his name.
and he goes, look, and he crossed my name out and wrote someone else's. And I didn't know if I should be happy that he thought I was good enough to win or devastated that he just eliminated me from contention. And then thanks to Dwight, I am legendary in the Hampton Inn chain, and we would just leave that story alone, but I would just tell you, be very careful of the sprinklers.
Do you know those signs that says, do not hang anything on this? That applies to a 40-pound jumpsuit as well.
Yes, I may or may not be the reason that those things are hanging in Hampton Inns. But moving on, ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to you, Dwight. And some of the things in that documentary were the best, especially one of your first performances, which you said was at Uncle Bob's Chicken Palace.
Oh my
Tell us about that a little bit.
Someone was there, I hope not. No, we were there. I got a call from this guy, and okay, so you remember the show Hee Haw? Remember that Hee Haw show? Well, this guy, on the other end of the phone, it sounded like some character from Hee Haw. He said, is this there that Elvis boy? And I said, well, you know, if you mean, am I the guy that sings Elvis? Then yeah, that's me. And you know, I was very young. I'd never really done anything aside from the variety show in high school. So he called me up and he said, I want you to come to Uncle Bob's Chicken Palace. So, you know, I thought it was going to be like this really good, like chicken, like you eat chicken, like a restaurant or something, you know. So I said, sure, yeah, we can do that. So, man, I'm excited. This is our first show, like ever, where I'm going to make money. So we show up at this barn, like out in the middle of nowhere. It's just this barn. We had to drive forever, it seemed like, but we got there, and there's this guy standing in front. He said, you know, you'll see us when you pull up. So this guy's standing there like a character in Hee Haw. He's got the bib overalls, you know, and he had a hat on. And I said, are you Bob? He said, I'm Uncle Bob. And he shook my hand, and so he said, come here, I'll show you where we're going to sit up. So me and the band went in there, and there was a big piece of plywood on like blocks, you know, like cinder blocks, and there was like wire, like chicken pin wire, you know, all around this thing. And so I still didn't know what it was, you know, what we were doing, because I had never, you know, seen anything like this. So we're getting ready to play, and all of a sudden, like, he goes, no, you guys don't start yet, you know. And they bring out, I mean, there's a ton of people there, like this right here, and right in front of the stage, there's this big pit, and they brought out chickens, like, to fight. I mean, it's illegal and it's horrible, but I was like the third act. And then the chickens closed the show, but man, what? I mean, you cannot make this up, and I'm not lying about any of this. It happened just exactly the way I'm telling you. But you know, the chicken fights was like my first show. It should have been my last. I mean, if things are like how they are now, we would have been shut down and canceled.
Well, I've kept the lid on this for as long as I could, but we arranged to have two of those headlining chickens here tonight.
Are they here?
They're in cages. They're in cages in the back. We tried. Apparently, they became buffalo wings a long time ago.
Oh, is that the ones?
That's apparently what happens after they finish their fighting careers. They become dinner. Sorry, I wrote my notes in reverse, Dwight. So, Dwight, 61 wins. Actually, more than that, since that documentary, 62 wins, I believe, if you include the Ultimate.
By the time I retired doing contests with the Ultimate, I was up to 75 first place wins.
Wow.
My contests, yeah.
Incredible and well-deserved, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you see it, the way he performs. It's effortless. And like I say, most ETAs, when you reach for that note, you're bending, you're reaching, you're clenching your butt cheeks. But Dwight just goes, ah! It's just amazing, and you're just an incredible talent. And now, I love the scenes from your band at the time. That was called the Promised Land Band.
Right.
Now, could you tell us a little bit about them? Do you still keep in touch with them?
Yeah, you know, there's only 2 original members of that band left. Keith, the big funny guy, you know, the guy I was talking about. If you were an Elvis impersonator, he wouldn't come within you know, that guy. Well, yeah, I was with him 20 years, and he passed away a few years ago. So he's no longer with us. But Shane Hinthorn, our bass player, he's been with me 22 years now. And I wish the filmmaker would have came to Florida, because I would have loved to have had my Blue Suede band on there, but he never made it to Florida, so we couldn't get any footage. But we're gonna do. Actually, me and Bill were shooting a new movie about the weekend, so we're gonna be asking some of you like to do some interviews and things, and I would like Bill to talk to the band as well to get so make sure they're on this movie.
That's fantastic. Now, did you really run over a fan? Because you might be the only ETA.
Story. That's a true story. So we were doing this Christmas parade in my hometown in Pomeroy. Actually, we were in Middleport, the neighboring town. And so I was on this float, and it was decorated with music notes and Christmas stuff. And I was singing Blue Christmas just over and over until we were done with this thing. Hey, Connie, will you turn my mic down up here just a little? And so I announced, I'm like, you can't approach this float. It's a moving vehicle. We don't want you to get run over. So I'm singing Blue Christmas, and here she comes, this lady. And I see her coming. And I have this scarf on, and she's like holding on to this scarf, like pulling it. And I'm like falling off the thing, because the thing's moving. So she's not moving, So I'm like this. So she starts walking along with the thing, and all of a sudden I'm going, and I hear this lady go, oh, like this. We ran over her foot, and she fell over, and I'm not kidding. I was on that float going, and we went exactly like that. I was like, We ran over, and like 2 days later, I was playing not far from there, and this lady comes to the show, and she has a scarf around her neck, and she's got this big cast on her. But that's a true story, man. That really happened.
Moral of the story, ladies and gentlemen, be very careful when you're getting a scarf from Dwight Icenhower.
Be very dangerous.
Tell us when you won the Ultimate. Now, you won the Ultimate in 2016. I was there. I should remember that. I was watching you. I was cheering you on. And just because as an ETA, that's like the pinnacle. That's the mountaintop. Just tell everybody a little bit what that experience was like for you.
Well, I had tried, I had competed in the preliminary rounds and whatnot, trying to win the Ultimate. I had been in, up to that point, I won the 10th year, so there had been 10 contests, 9 champions leading up to me. And I had competed in like 7 of the 10. And, I placed I think second one year, and, then I never even made the top 5 in the other years. One year I walked out on stage, and I'm not saying I sang the best of anybody in the world, but my personal best. I did the best that I could do, the song Hurt, that I've ever done it. And I'm standing there on stage just looking real, I'm like, they're gonna call my name. I'm gonna make that top 10, I'm standing there like this. And they announced like the top 10 guys, and like I look back and I'm like, is that it? So I didn't even make the top 10 that year, but yeah, so 2015, David Lee won, which David's one of my good friends. I come in second, and then 2016 came around. I went to Branson at Legends in Concert, and I competed. I won my preliminary. Then we went on to Memphis in August, and I won the Ultimate, 2016.
The rest was history, ladies and gentlemen. And I have to tell you, sometimes in beauty pageants or in tribute contests, some people don't lose very well, but I personally never saw you lose your temper. You always took it.
Well, yeah, I mean, if I'm going to go, kick a cat or something, I'll do
you
it
do
behind
it, yeah,
closed.
it's
No,
always,
I'm kidding.
It's always best to harm an animal out of sight.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, you do have a way of putting a positive spin. I mean, personal experience with me, the first year you hosted the contest in Sarasota, and I went down there, and I didn't do so well. And Dwight came over to me, he goes, hey man, you sang really well, and you beat the girl and the kid with the blonde hair, so,
And that was true. There was a lady Elvis and a little kid with blonde hair.
And I beat them. Yes, and even how sad that sounds, Dwight made me feel good about myself. So, you just have that way about you. And I'd like to talk a little bit about your ears, because you said you glue them back. Do you really? And that works?
It does work, because if you're wearing a wig that's jet black, anything like around it is going to look bigger on stage than what it is, and my ears stick out. They do.
Tell the people a little bit about what goes on. I'm sure a lot of the ladies are interested, like underneath the jumpsuits, because Elvis was a great specimen, and you look pretty good in your jumpsuit.
Well,
so what are your secrets, if you want to divulge some of them?
It's called Spanx.
Spanx for men, we call them Manx.
You go to the ladies department and you buy the tightest Spanx you could find. Yeah.
Wow.
So now you know the secret.
I can never forget the first time seeing you in a onesie backstage. It's something that stays with you. On that note, Dwight, what were some of your... Do you have I mean, it's kind of hard to beat running over a fan with your float, but what some of the strangest or most difficult moments you've ever had in the ETA world?
Well, there's a couple things. We did this production show, and I years ago, 20 years ago, and I rented out this college performing arts center, and I had this big sign made. Each letter was like 8 foot tall by 4 foot, and it spelled out Elvis. You know, like in the '68 special, they had the big red sign with the bulbs and everything. Well, I made a replica of that, and I built this whole set for this video. And I got the suit, like, it was back before I started wearing like the professional B&K suits that professional tribute artists wear. That B&K is the same company that made Elvis's original jumpsuits. So some of the same guys make the suits still today. But anyhow, it was before those days. So I went to a department store like Sears or something, and I bought a white tuxedo that looked similar to the one Elvis wore when he was singing "If I Can Dream." You guys know what I'm talking about, with the little red neckerchief and the whole thing. So I wanted the big part of this video to be that song. So 2 things happened that just completely ruined this video. Okay, and we only have 1 take on it with a live audience. So I'm doing "If I Can Dream," and I see out of the corner of my eye like somebody that shouldn't be standing there. Like there shouldn't be anybody else on stage but me and that sign. So I'm looking over, and there's this lady, and she's coming at me like this. She's like, and I'm standing here like going, get away, my video, And so I'm singing, and like she grabs me by the scarf, and like she's pulling me across the stage. So that totally ruined the video. So we finally reshoot this thing like down the road with the sign and all that. I went and bought me a more accurate, "If I Can Dream" suit, the white suit with the red. I went and I found me one that looked a little more like it. So we finally shoot this video, and I get the copy of the video back, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks beautiful. So it shows my face, and then it pans down like this to me singing, and right here is a tag that says JCPenney, and the barcode. It had like the long barcode, that they scan in the video. And I mean, it's not just like a little tag. It takes up this much of my arm. So every attempt I've ever made to get a video of that has just been, something has always happened. So, yeah.
That's something that definitely stays with you. In the documentary, we were introduced to the Blue Hawaii ladies. You want to talk about them for a little bit or anything?
Yeah, well, I met them in Michigan at the Michigan Elvis Fest, Ypsilanti, Michigan, and I saw them sitting out there, and they had their Blue Hawaii shirts on, and now it grows. Like they've got a much bigger group of ladies than what was there initially, originally. But I mean, there's probably 30 Blue Hawaii ladies now, and they just keep making shirts. So anyone who wants to join, you just if you see them here, tell them you want to be a Blue Hawaii lady. They'll walk you through the handbook. It's a very serious thing. I mean, you cannot love. Now, I didn't make these rules up, But they say you cannot love any other tribute artist more than Dwight Eisenhower. Or you can't be a Blue Hawaii lady. But, as the one lady stated, you can't love Dwight more than Elvis because, well, basically the way she said it is, because Dwight's not as good as Elvis. Which I agree. I do agree.
You get it pretty close, though, brother.
Well, I try. I don't know.
And actually, I think she said you have to love Elvis above anyone.
Anyone. She did say that.
Yes.
Above anyone. Your husband, anybody.
That was good.
Gotta love Elvis more.
Thank you, Elvis.
Yes.
Thank you so much. A lot of people would like to know, do you have a favorite MC at a festival?
Oh.
No, that's for a later show. No, do you have a favorite venue? I know you perform all over the place. Talk about some of the best locations that you've ever performed as Elvis.
There's so many. I mean,
you've been to Europe.
Yeah,
You've been to Brazil.
Right.
It's amazing.
I would say there's one venue that we do on our European tour, and it's in Amsterdam. It's called the Milky Way, and it's this old rock club. It's a hall probably maybe about this big, but it's all standing room only. There's no seats, so it's like an old school rock and roll concert. Like everyone's right up to the edge of the stage, and college kids come out for it. Like over there, it's like rock and roll music, especially American rock and roll music, kind of caught on later. So a lot of the fans there are people in their 20s and 30s. So we'll have a mix of college-age kids through, I would say, the original Elvis fans, 70s and 80s. So, but the venue itself is a legendary venue in like rock and roll music because everybody's played there. Prince played there, like rock and roll bands like Nirvana, in the 90s. But yeah, it's just an atmosphere that is really different from anywhere I've ever played.
Do you find when you travel, the audiences receive you differently, or how was the Elvis tribute accepted? Let's say in Brazil.
Yeah, in Japan, it's the first time I went there. I was wondering. I was like, are they having fun? Do they like me? Because they're very polite. They're very, they'll clap and then they'll stop. And then afterwards, it's like, whoa, they just want to show you how much they loved it and appreciated it. And like if I have, let's say, if I'm selling 10 CDs and 10 pictures, they come up and they don't try to pick out like one CD they want. They just buy everything. So it's like, that's kind of the way they show you that they really, because Japan is the least English speaking of all of Asia. So it's very hard when I go over there to communicate. I do have a person that translates for me when I'm up on stage. But Japan is very, they really, they're very passionate about Elvis because, they didn't get a chance to see Elvis. The closest Elvis ever came to the Japanese people was when Elvis played the Aloha from Hawaii, and that was 4,000 miles away, So that's the closest they got to Elvis was Aloha, but they definitely let you see the love after the show. Even when Vicky, she came with me on one of the tours, and they showered her with, Hello Kitty gifts, and they brought me all the food, which I appreciated. Yeah, we love Japanese food. Anytime we're in these other countries, we really like to dive into the culture and eat the food and do local things, not do the touristy things. We like to hang out with the locals. So.
Sure. Now you mentioned your lovely wife, Vicky. Now you have a very good fashion sense. When you're roaming around and I see the pictures on Facebook, you coordinate very well, I have to say. Does Vicky have a little hand in that, or is that all you?
Yeah, she does. No, but I've gotten good with it though. I've actually learned how to, sometimes I'll put it on an outfit first, and I'll be like, hey, why don't you wear your, tutti frutti little,
They always match, ladies and gentlemen. One time I was with them, they both looked like watermelons. It was amazing. And take notice of Dwight when he's in his casual clothes. He has the coolest boots you have ever seen. So much that I've been hounding him to find out where he buys them. And he finally gave me the website. But you always look good, brother, and I just like to say that. You do. You have a great fashion. And Vicky, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. you know? Now, we got to see a little bit about that you do Elton John. Tell us a little bit how the Elton John tribute just came about. Like, when was the first time you did
like
that?
I said in the movie, you know, I was in marching band. So one year the music that we were playing was an Elton John, Billy Joel show. The music of Elton John, Billy Joel. And I just remember every Elton John song we would play. And I didn't even know who Elton John was. I mean, I was in high school. I didn't know much about him. I never, you know, heard a full album or anything. And then, so I loved the melodies of the music, like the way the music sounded when we played it. So I went out and I got me a Greatest Hits Elton John CD, and then I was I turned into a massive fan. And I've seen him 116 times.
That's amazing.
The last concert I saw was his Farewell Yellow Brick Road concert, and that was my 116th concert.
Well, you do a fantastic job as Elton John and Elvis. Your talent is always on display, and it's pretty cool. It's definitely amazing. And to that, like, what advice would you give, like, the kids now in the industry, the up-and-coming tribute artists?
Just don't take it too seriously. I mean, have fun. Never stop having fun with what you're doing, and the day you do, you should hang it up, because it's, you know, I never look at this as a job. I mean, yes, this is what I do as a job, but this is the fun part, like being on stage and singing and entertaining, you know, appreciative Elvis fans is the fun part. It's everything else that's the work, the traveling, and, you know. But I mean, when I'm up here, I'm having a ball. So I sometimes I can't even believe I make money doing this, because it's so much fun. Like, I love it, you know.
I think we could all say it's evident that Dwight is having a good time on stage, because you can see it in your face. You love what you do, and I think that's very important. So props to you, my friend. I just had a senior moment. I forgot what my next question is. Oh, yes. Now, you touched on some of your favorite ETAs, and I think we all agree those are all tremendous entertainers. Now, do you think, how do I phrase this? Everyone has their own strength that they bring. What do you feel like is your strength as a tribute artist?
All of it. I mean, everything from putting on the No, I'm kidding.
Well, there you go.
I'm very humble, folks.
That's
No,
actually
my biggest thing, I mean, you know, I always say, like when I do my European tour, I dress in my own style. I don't wear the jumpsuits. The first couple tours, I didn't even wear the Elvis hair, but then they asked me to, you know, they liked the Elvis look, so I started doing that. But, you know, I really enjoy the singing part of it. That's what you know, because like I said, Elvis was a singer. He was a singer first. Before anybody saw him on the Ed Sullivan Show or knew what he looked like, or, you know, they heard his voice coming through the radio, you know, That's All Right Mama. They heard, and people didn't know if he was black, white, red, you know, they didn't know. I mean, they didn't know what Elvis looked like. So to me, the most important thing is if you can, you know, close your eyes and hear a hint of Elvis. I mean, that's the greatest compliment, you know, for what I do.
now you do quite a few dates a year, and that's got to be a lot of stress on your voice. Do you have like any show day rituals, or what do you do to maintain your voice to keep it at that level?
I just, you know, especially on tours like where we're doing, sometimes if we're there 40 days, we'll do 30 shows and have 10 down to, you know, it's crazy schedule. But I just try any chance, sleep and water is the most important thing that you can do to keep your voice in shape. And, you know, I get a lot more of it these days. So I take a little bit of care of myself.
Well, that's what happens when we get a little older.
That's right. I know what you're talking about.
A little more rest. Now, like looking on into the future, let's say 20 years from now, do you want to still stay on the stage, or would you rather move more into the production end of the business?
Well, I think I'll always be on stage. I mean, you know, look at some of these Tom Jones is what, 83 years
Still
old
at the
now,
top.
still singing his you know what off. I mean, I mean, so singing I'll always sing. I mean, I'll always be on stage. But yeah, I mean, eventually I would like to do more producing and promoting events. And, you know,
maybe the Dwight Icenhower cruise. All things Dwight.
oh, hey,
I think that would be a good idea. Jason Sherry, you might want to think about that.
we used to do them. Jennifer, we've done several. Jennifer, how many did we do? 5? We did 5 Dwight and Friends cruises.
Yes, Dwight and Friends. That's very good. Now,
And I gotta say, Jennifer Hughes, like Jennifer Hughes and all the volunteers, but Jennifer and Sue, like they've worked with me for like 20 years now, and they have just, I mean, basically, I get up here and sing, but everything else is because of Jennifer, Sue, the volunteers. So let's hear it for them, please.
and I think that's a true testament to who you are, that the people, they work, because I could see the love. I could see how they care about you, and everyone down here, that made me feel so welcome. You know, me and my New York accent. Although 50% of the people are probably originally from New York down in Florida. So anyway. But, you know, I've gotten to, I think we became friends about 10 years ago, right? And Dwight happened to be doing a show on Staten Island, and it was around Thanksgiving. So I said, well, since you and Vicky are up here, why don't you spend Thanksgiving with us?
Oh my gosh, you have not had a Thanksgiving dinner until you've had an Italian Thanksgiving dinner.
Italians from New York. We sat Dwight and Vicky down, and we started the meeting around 1 in the afternoon.
My gosh.
And about 11 o'clock at night, it finished.
I'm telling you, I could not breathe, and I was in pain. Like, I couldn't breathe we ate so much. They brought out this long table, and then they had like all the cold cuts, like deli meats and cheeses and
The antipasto, we call it.
yes. So we had that, and by that point, we were just like, oh my God, this has got to be it. Then they brought out like the macaroni and the lasagna
Yes.
and the meatballs.
The turkey was still a few hours away.
Yeah. So we ate that. And then here comes the mashed potatoes and the dressing and the turkey and the ham and, you know.
And then I made him sing karaoke for my mother-in-law later on that night.
You did.
And then the next day, do you remember the movie we went to see?
Yes, we went to see Creed. This was the coolest thing, to see like a Rocky movie with a bunch of Italians in New York. Like, it really was like everyone was like you know, punching it, you know, it was crazy.
And the best part of it, we were sitting, and a gentleman happened to be in the audience, and I forget, it was you, me, who else came to that movie? I think Robert Washington, yes. And he happens to be an ETA fan. So he says he's sitting in the movie, and he's waiting to see Rocky, and this guy is a huge Elvis fan. He's a big ETA supporter, and he's like, he calls it, Dan. He goes, I'm sitting there, I see you walk in, I see Dwight Icenhower walk in, Robert Washington walk in. I thought this was like a special viewing of Rocky, and you made his day. The ETAs were there watching Rocky with the New Yorkers. Now, we've had some fun experiences. I'd just like to share one if I can. It was after, I think Mr. Jason Sherry, our friend, was there for this one. It was after one of the fantastic festivals that he would put on. This was in Brunswick, Georgia. And we went out. We were just blowing off some steam at an establishment after it. And a gentleman was sitting in front of Dwight and I think there was a band playing or whatever was going on. And a knife fell out of his pocket and went onto the floor. And it hit my shoe. And Dwight looks over to me and he goes, so what's the protocol here when a guy's knife falls out of his pocket at a bar? Do we say something? I'm like, no, Dwight, we're not going to say anything. So I put my foot on it, and I pulled the knife into me and just put it into my pocket. Totally forgot about it. A few days later, we're at the airport. And my wife goes, what's in your pocket? I go, oh my God, I have that guy's knife. So I threw it in the garbage pail. She goes, you just took a strange knife with your fingerprints and threw it in the garbage. And then I was like, I should have let Dwight touch it first, too. But so apparently, when a knife falls out of a gentleman's pocket, you just leave it there. Don't take it, you know.
That was a pretty shady place, too.
Yeah, it was a shady place. Well, Jason Sherry wanted to go there, so we just blame it on him.
Hey, let's hear, really, my good friend Jason Sherry. He's the head of Tribute Festival.rocks, and he and his can I say it? He and his fiance, Katie, are here. They came all the way from Vermont to be with us. So let's hear it for Jason Sherry of Sherry Management. Yeah.
We were all adults having fun that night.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was a good time. I remember we walked into this establishment, and it was interesting. And the girl working behind the bar had a cane and everything. And I think she had Dollar General, whatever that outfit was on. And I remember my wife going, I could work in this place. So it was just, it was a fun time. But let me tell you, he's a lot of fun to hang out with. Dwight, you're humble. Like Bill interviewed me before, and he asked me 3 words to describe you. I think I said nice, humble. Darn, I can't remember the other word. But it was a good word. And all the good words come to mind when you say, I have never met anyone in this business say a bad thing about you. I've never heard anyone say you're a sore loser. I've never heard anything negative about you. So whatever you're doing, Dwight, I say keep it up, because you're doing it right. You have a beautiful wife. You have a great fan base. You have lovely people around that work with you. You know, now we have some time. I was thinking maybe they have a question or two. I could go in the audience with the microphone. If anyone has a question, hold your hand up. I'll come on down to you if you'd like to know anything about Dwight. Otherwise, maybe he'll tap dance for you guys.
Please ask questions.
Oh, okay, we got one. I'm going to make my way down there. You stay right here.
Okay, I'll stay.
Okay, here, you can hold the pen.
Oh, good.
Okay. That's from the Hampton Inn in Gallipolis, Ohio. Or is that Gallipolis? I'm not sure.
Gallipolis.
Gallipolis.
I don't sound like nobody, man.
There you go. All right, Dwight, we're going to take board.
I got you.
I feel like Phil Donahue.
You kind of look like... No, I'm kidding. You
I
don't.
can say that. You guys remember Phil Donahue, right? Okay.
How many uniforms, onesies, jumpsuits
How many jumpsuits do I have? I have right now like maybe 5 or 6 that I rotate, you know. Yeah. I used to have a lot more, but I started buying like my own style suits, like the sparkle suits and some of the different just regular suits now.
Thank you for having me in your video.
Oh, you're welcome, man. Thanks to anybody that was in the video. Yeah, thank you.
Do you have a favorite jumpsuit?
I like the peacock. That was Elvis's favorite jumpsuit, was the peacock suit. I like a lot of them. I mean, I really like the one that the rainbow with the blue swirl thing going on. I like that one.
Does anyone else have a question? Come on, guys, you have to have... Oh, there we go. I'll make my way around.
With the name Eisenhower, did your mother name you after the president?
No, and it blows my mind that's not how this happened, but, you know, she was good friends with a guy in high school. His name was Dwight. So they were like best friends, and he had passed away, so she named me after him, and she just happened to marry my father, Rick Icenhower, so here I am. It's not a made-up name. It's on my license.
Well, let's be happy her friend's name wasn't Abe, and she didn't marry Joe Lincoln, because that'd be
right.
your 2016 champion, Abe Lincoln, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, right here.
But here we go.
I wondered when you go overseas, do the promoters tell you what songs you have to sing, or do you have choices
Yeah,
of what
they
you can
do to some extent. I mean, I do have input in it, but they do tell me what to sing, because the #1 hits here in the States aren't necessarily what was the #1 hits in Europe, or wherever I'm at. So they'll make up a general set list, and then I'll put in songs that I would like to sing. Yeah.
I just wanted to know if you were going to have any more of the friends with the cruise.
You know, it's the thing is I do so many cruises already, and my schedule's just, I mean, we're getting busier, and I'm at the point now to where I'm not booking any other shows. I mean, my schedule for this year is completely, you know.
I'm happy you're going to be in West Palm Beach.
Yeah, we're going to be there for
March
2 shows.
24th.
That's right, yeah. Looking forward to that.
Does anyone else have any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, making our way over to the other side of the room. I feel like it's an auction. Can I get 5? Can I get $5? Can I get 10? Can I get 15? 20? Do I have 25? I have $25 for the lady in the green shirt.
Faster.
Hi, Dwight. My mom wants to know, the lady that you ran over
Yeah,
with the floats, she got the scar.
she did.
Did she ever get the kiss?
We put it right in her casket. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Did she get the kiss?
Yes.
Yeah, she did. Many times afterwards, she came to many more shows, and she was actually the mother of my in high school. There was a very good saxophone player, and he joined a band with us, so it was his mother. So we always teased her about that. Remember that time I broke your ankle?
Dwight, we have some questions
Sure.
coming from the back of the room.
Yes. Oh, I'm afraid now. No.
Hey, Dad, looking good.
Hi, Lath.
Hey, Snarf, what's up?
How you doing, my snarf?
What do you like
That's my
to...
snarf right there. I know you guys have no clue what that means, but we do. So.
It's our inside joke. All right. What do you like to sleep in, Dwight?
Oh. Well, here's the thing. I used to just, if I was hot, I would, what do you sleep in when you're hot? Nothing. But I recently found out that I love silk pajamas. So Vicky, for Christmas this year, bought me a beautiful pair of hunter green silk pajamas. And now I never, when I'm at home, I'm in my silk. I never leave my silk pajamas now. And I've actually got three pair. I have a pair that when we have guests over, I wear when we have the guests because they're more fancy. But then I have my lounge silk pajamas. And I have a pair that I wear back in the dressing room when I'm putting my makeup on. I'm telling you, I'm in them like 22 hours out of the day. I'm surprised I'm not out here now in those silk pajamas.
Hey, Dwight.
Hey, Jack.
The dead art is
That's all right, buddy.
Oh, your jumpsuit.
Yep.
Are you yourself a sundial or peacock better?
Oh, I like both of them, but I would have to say they're both beautiful. The peacock or the sundial suit. I don't know.
Two beauties.
I have the peacock suit. The sundial is one that, here's the thing. A lot of people, the sundial was the last suit Elvis ever wore. It's the one with the gold sundial. And when he sat down and played Unchained Melody. So to a lot of people, that's like a negative look. But to me, Elvis his voice was huge at the end. So, when I see that sundial suit, I don't think of it like that. So I don't know. That's a toss-up. I really love both of those suits. Yeah.
Dwight, I now will refer to you as the Hugh Hefner of the Elvis world. The man,
in my pajamas.
And they are backstage. Maybe I'll go back and just
They
show
are.
it to you guys.
Yes, they are.
What is your favorite song to perform?
My favorite Elvis song of all time to sing is Are You Lonesome Tonight? Remember that one? Yeah, it's my favorite. To me, Elvis's voice, and it's not necessarily like the most powerful song or where I'm hitting big notes, but I just love how Elvis sounded singing that, so it's fun for me to sing it. Yeah. Oh, I know that voice. Yeah, babe.
Hold on. Come back with the microphone. Makes it a lot easier. Look, Dwight, I'm running.
Oh. Hey, get that on video.
I'm running to Miss Vicky.
That day on, if he was emceeing something, he was running. Go ahead.
No, I did have a question, and I forgot it now. No, it wasn't about the silk pajamas. What was it?
Of course.
It was a good question, too. But you got your steps in, Dan. So, no.
Thank you, Vicky. I just
Thank
hit
you, Vicky.
6,000 steps. We can circle back if she remembers her. We had a question. Okay, coming down here, walking past the Wisconsin table. Ooh. Yeah. There. Oh, she remembered her question.
Okay, so we know that you do Elvis and you do Elton John, but is there a dream tribute act that you could do?
Jerry Lee Lewis. If I could do any, if I would do Jerry, man, you would never get me off stage if I could master the piano the way I want to do it. I might do Jerry Lee one day. I might come out and just do it. Because I've got me a piano. I bought a piano and it's at home. It's an 1849 upright grand piano. It's an upright, but it's a grand piano that they made. And I've been practicing. So if I can get to where I'm comfortable enough doing it on stage, then I'll debut it and I'll do it for you.
I think that would be a fantastic show, ladies and gentlemen. Along with your tribute to Perry Como
That's
and
right.
Johnny Mathis, as you were telling me backstage. We had a question over here.
Dwight, I am honored that I'm a fan in your movie.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being a
I
part
wanted
of
to
it.
ask you, do you still have the Eagles suit?
The Aloha suit?
Yes.
No, I don't have the Aloha anymore. That was one of the, years ago, one of the first suits I bought, and I weighed like 138 pounds back then, so I outgrew that one. But yeah, I just never got. It's probably the most iconic suit of all of the Elvis suits because of the Aloha special. I mean, that thing was broadcast to 1 point how many billion people, So that suit is what you think of when you think of Elvis, iconic Elvis. That suit, comes to mind.
I wanted to ask you, why don't you ever sing The Fair's Moving On?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I do. I sing it. I mean, I sing. I have performed it before, but yeah, it's not. Well, in a lot of these shows, people want to hear the hits. They want to hear the ones that everyone remembers. But I would love to do a show where I do all B-sides, like nothing. Like there's no Hound Dog, no Jailhouse Rock. It's all those type songs because those are my favorite.
Promise me.
Yeah, I love that one. I'll do it. I'll do it at some point. I'll do it. Yeah.
Dwight, I think I'm going to make it my mission to find other tribute artists named after presidents, and you guys could have a big time. How cool would that be? Dwight Eisenhower competing against John Quincy Adams, Herbert Hoover doing the '68 comeback special.
Me and Robert Washington, we always toyed around with the idea of doing the presidential tour, Washington and Eisenhower. So,
this is.
And we might do it.
Jason, are you listening? Another good idea. I know a great MC for that contest. Anyway, we had a question back here.
Did you buy Vicky a wedding ring?
I finally bought her a wedding ring. We didn't know we were getting married. I'm telling you, that's a real part of the movie right there. We had no clue. We went out to Las Vegas to see Elton John's Red Piano show that he had at Caesar's Palace. And we were after the show. We're like, "What do you want to do?" I don't know. You want to get married? So the next day we wake up and Vicky looks at me. She goes, "Were you serious about getting married? Because if so, I need to do my hair. Like I need to start on my hair right now." I said, "Yep, do your hair." So then she got all done. And we went straight to the wedding chapel because neither one of us had been married before. We didn't know, and so. We get there and they're like, "Do you have your wedding license?" And I'm like, "No, don't you?" She said, "Don't you give that to us?" But after we got everything figured out, we went back and you saw it was just me, her, and Elvis. That was it.
Has Vicky ever misspelled Eisenhower like in the beginning?
No.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. I like the way you spell it. Now, going back to your wedding, that was an actual tribute artist who you ran into years later, wasn't he? That married you.
Yeah, we saw him at a contest that I was headlining, yeah.
We've got a question from Mr. Bill Trombley, Dwight Eisenhower.
Hi, Bill.
It's not a. Excuse me.
It's early. It's all right.
You okay, Dan? I'm good. Okay. This isn't a question, but I'm going to refresh your memory.
Okay.
We went over to Kissimmee to see you one night.
Oh my gosh, years ago.
You want to tell them about it?
I was playing in. You want me to tell them or?
Go ahead.
I was playing in this room about as big as this stage up here, and there was about 200 people in there years ago, and every single person was smoking, I think. And you could not see. Bill was like, "Is this where the Elvis show is?"
It was an American Legion.
Yeah.
And of course, they were all old Legionnaires. Half their teeth they left at the dentist years ago. and they're all sitting there, and they got their cigarette, and they got their beer in one hand. And my wife and I walk in, and I said, "Do you have a no smoking section?" And the guy says, "Sure, I got a no smoking section, just follow me." So we walk over and he sets us down at this table right underneath a smoke eater.
Yeah.
I probably figured it's taking the
That's
smoke
right.
up, nothing's done around here.
Yeah. Oh,
But I said to you on the way out, I said, "Did you really, really have to take this job? It's got to be killing your throat because you could cut that smoke with a knife that night."
Yeah. Those are and when we go to Japan, we can be, the clubs are much smaller there, so we don't play big rooms or anything like that. They're very small venues, And if there's 30 people packed in these things, they're all smoking. Yeah, and they live to be 108, you know. They eat a lot of fish, that's why.
And in your early years, you were over at Old Town, and you were singing over there on Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
And we happened to catch you. And I said, the next week, I was telling one of our neighbors across the street from us, I said, you got to see this guy. He's fantastic. And she says, I'd love to go. So we brought her. And we get over there, and I don't see your table out at all. And that was unusual. And the band's up there, and they're fooling around, and I'm looking at my watch, and you're not in sight. And all of a sudden, the guy that heads up the band stands up to the microphone. He says, don't worry, folks. He says, we're running a little late tonight. He says, Irv Cass is caught in traffic, and he should be here in about 10 to 15 minutes.
Oh, Irv, okay. That's right.
Irv filled in for you that night.
Yeah.
Yep.
Of all nights, you picked that.
I've been around you a lot, Dwight. You are the consummate Elvis entertainer. I've judged you over several years.
Yeah.
You're such a delight to watch, to listen to, and to be around. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Yes, that is true. Mr. Bill has been a judge for many years, and I know for a fact he judged Dwight very favorably, me not so much. Thank you, Bill. It's been good knowing you. But going back to your documentary, Dwight, there were two people in there who you've lost that were very close to you recently. And one of them we were able to go pay respects to after La Crosse,
That's
Wisconsin.
right.
If you'd like to talk a little bit.
Yeah, our good friends Bill and Barb Krause, who you saw in the movie, and they were at every single show. But, you know, I was doing a show in Wisconsin up at the Elvis Explosion, and Bill had just passed away, Bill Krause, and his funeral, or his viewing to see him was going to be like on that Sunday or something.
Yes.
And there was no way I was going to be able to make it because the flight, you know, I was going to be in the middle of the air. It just so happens that, and Bill was from Chicago, it just so happens that me and him on the plane, we get stuck in Chicago. They rerouted us to Chicago, and we got stuck, and we made it to, we got off that plane, we got in a taxi, and it took us straight there. I rolled into the funeral home with my luggage, but we saw Bill. We did.
It was great. And Dwight told the Uber driver, he goes, I'll make it worth your while. And this gentleman was great. I was petrified. He was going crazy, but he got us there.
Well,
And
Bill
we were
Krause
very
himself told me one time, he said, if you're ever in Chicago and you need to get somewhere, tell him to step on it. And I told him, that's what we told him, and he did step on it. He got us there.
He stepped on it. We have other questions. And I remember that. And after that, Dwight and I went and ate pizza, and we were with our friend Robert Washington. Now, if those of you that know Robert, he's not into social media. He's not into technology. So we had to explain to Robert, you need to get an Uber and meet us at this restaurant that was nowhere near his hotel. And Robert, in my best Robert voice, was like, nope, that ain't happening. I'm going to the chicken place right across the street from my hotel. That's it. So we're like, yeah, he's not going to figure out how to order it. He goes, what's an Uber? I'm like, oh my goodness. But Dwight and I, we were eating at Giordano's or whatever it was, and it was great. And the Jet game was on. I'm a huge Jet fan. Aaron Rodgers got injured 3 plays into it, story of the Jet life. And I was just miserable, looking down, eating my pizza. And then Dwight goes, hey, they just scored. And they won. So Dwight, you're the good luck charm. So in order for the New York Jets to win, next year I have to watch every game with you. So clear your schedule, and you have a few more questions, buddy. Coming up here.
So what is your favorite thing about living in Winter Haven, Florida?
Oh, man, you know, I just love it's kind of like a throwback type of city. Like, to me, there's a lot of charm to this city. Like, especially if you go into the little downtown area, the park. I just like that back in the day feeling that it has. And I really like the way that the city embraces, like, it's you know, with the water ski thing, you know, Cypress Gardens, like all of that. And that's actually like the table designs, like the little centerpieces. That's what we wanted it to look like, is like kind of retro vintage Florida. So I love the charm of a little town, you know, smaller town.
just met you in October at the Elvis Explosion.
That's
and
right, yes.
And I'm from Minnesota, so you now have Minnesota fans too.
Oh,
And
thank
so
you.
I'm loving this weekend. I'm learning a lot about you. I'd only heard about you. And I wanted to know when that movie was made because it was really great. It was a great education for me.
Yeah, he did great on it. This was filmed, I mean, it has to be close to 10 years ago, 9, 10 years ago, yeah. And then even before that, I mean, he followed us for a couple years filming, so.
Okay, Dwight, I'm just going to warn you, Wisconsin has questions.
Oh, here we go. Bring it on.
One question and one memory.
Yes.
Have you ever met Elton John?
Okay, so I went to an Elton John concert one time, and we were sitting so far up that we couldn't see anything. So they had binoculars where you could go rent binoculars. So I went and got a pair. And I came back, and at my seat there was a guy with an Elton John lanyard on, and it said staff. So he asked me, he was like, are you a huge Elton John fan? Like, do you make a lot of noise, like cheer him on? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So he took me and sat me front row center. Yeah, so it was Elton John and Billy Joel, like the face-to-face tour, you know? And Billy Joel does this thing, he does this thing where he reserves the whole front row. He doesn't sell tickets to it because he knows that, like, it'll be like the people, yeah, like rich people who don't even know his music sometimes. They'll just buy up these tickets and go party, you know, which is fine, that's fine. But Billy Joel saves the whole front row, and he gives them to people like me who were up in the balcony, you know. So the whole front row is diehard fans, like not just people who could afford a ticket. So I sat there, and Elton John, his piano was right where you're sitting is where I was, and his piano was right here. And I rushed the front of the stage, and I didn't get to meet him like, hello, I love your music, my name's Dwight. But I reached up, and he grabbed my hand and shook it. And so I did get to shake his hand. And as a piano player, usually piano players' fingers are like long and skinny fingers, you know, because they got to play. I just remember, and I don't have big hands at all. But when I shook his hand, like his whole hand fit like inside of he had these tiny little hands and fingers like that big around. Just these little hands, you know? Yeah. But I did meet him kind of, yeah.
Cool. Years ago, we live in Boston, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But we have a cabin up in Crandon, Wisconsin, which is a real small town. And a sheriff's deputy one year shot and killed 6 kids. And so they were going to do a fundraiser for the families. And Dwight came up to Crandon with his band, Harry and Donna and Keith, and he put on a show, and all the money was donated to this family. And so that night we get back to the cabin. I don't know if you remember this, but we were all sitting around the campfire. It was a beautiful night. You could hear the loons, and there was other neighboring cabins. They had a campfire, and Dwight sang "How Great Thou Art" a cappella. And when he finished, everybody around the lake applauded him. It's a small lake, and everything echoes.
That's right. It was very cold that night, wasn't it? No, that was the New Year's show. Remember when I came at the New Year's show and we did at the bar?
Yes.
We've had some crazy times, me and these people at the table right there. I remember, this is back when I drank. I don't drink anymore. I quit drinking years ago. But I remember that night, one of the band members was head first into a snow drift, and we had to pull him out of it. It wasn't me. I was not far behind him.
Was it Keith?
No, we would have never got Keith out of that. Yeah. This has been fun, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Let's do one more question. Is that Duffy?
Yeah.
Hi, Duffy.
Hey, Dwight. How you doing?
Good, man.
I got a question about your commercial that was outstanding and just put everybody's heart fluttering. We went, that's Dwight. That's Dwight. What was the reaction that you received after you did that commercial?
Oh man, you know, it was a lot of fun to film that thing. We went out to they flew me out to Hollywood, and I was actually at one of Jason's events, Chicagoland Elvis Festival, and there was this guy or this girl came up to me, and she was filming stuff and getting interviews. Dean was there. A lot of my friends in this business, Dean, Jay. And about a week later, they called me, and they're like, we want you to come out to Hollywood and film a commercial. Well, I've seen a lot of these things that put Elvis in a bad light, you know, commercials or things on television that, hokey, there's that word, Dan, hokey. But, you know, so I really didn't want anything to do with it, and then they explained to me that it was going to be about the music of Elvis, bringing people from all around the world together. And I thought that was a beautiful message, so I said, yeah, let's do it. So I flew out, and that commercial was the Apple commercial that, to this date, has been viewed on YouTube over 1.2 billion times on YouTube. It played on the Super Bowl 2018. It was on there, but it was a lot of fun. Yeah, it took that opening scene where I'm sitting on the bed, strumming the guitar, and I look over at the FaceTime thing. That one scene took us, for 4 days we filmed it for like 14 hours each day. Just that little bit of, you know, yeah.
And the memory I had was the first time I met you. I'm good friends with Randy, and I used to do a little Elvis singing. And he said, Duffy, we're going to Lulu, Mississippi. He said, Ronnie's got this new guy, this Dwight Icenhower. He goes, check that name out, Dwight Icenhower. Yeah. He says, well, here's what we're going to do. Once we land, Dwight and you and me are going to be in the limo together. He goes, and you know what? Just give Dwight some tips for this contest. So we get there, and you sang GI Blues and a couple other songs. That was when the Jordanaires were with you. Yeah. And I looked over at Randy and I said, I think he's good, Randy. Dwight, I love you, man.
I love you guys. I love you all. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all so much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad you all enjoyed the movie. And are you ready for tonight? We're going to have some fun tonight. One more time for Mr. Dan Barrella, everybody. I'll see you all this evening.
Give it up for Dwight Icenhower, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you tonight.